Historically, no other martial art on the planet shares the track record of success that jiu-jitsu has when it comes to real fights against other martial arts. And today, no martial art is growing faster than jiu-jitsu. And to many people, the success over generations and today is a mystery. Like, wow, why jiu-jitsu? To us, it's perfectly clear. And to help you guys understand why that is, you have to understand the punch power scale. Every punch exists on a scale from 1 to 10. And the difference in those punches determines the difference in effectiveness. So from here, let's just say I'm here, I'm on the bottom of Hidon's guard. If I'm hitting him right here, this is called a level 1 punch. Very minimal damage because only one joint is involved in the actual strike. This is called a level 2 punch because my 2 joints, wrist and elbow, are involved in the strike right here. This is called a level 3 punch, shoulder, wrist, and elbow. So every joint adds to the potential danger of the punch. And then a level 4 punch is if he's sitting up and I have my hips to rotate. Now it's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Boom! I can get some serious damage there. And level 4 with gravity leads to a level 5 punch, which is a serious concern. Levels 6 through 10, you guys, are punches where this puncher is standing on their 2 feet, throwing their entire body weight behind the punch. And the only difference between 6 and 10 is who is throwing the punch. Mike Tyson in his prime is your 10. 7, 8, 9 are different level strikers standing on their feet, throwing everything they have behind it. So levels 1 through 5 are functions of how many joints are thrown into the punch. Levels 6 through 10 are a function of who's throwing the actual punch. And the reason jiu-jitsu reigns supreme is very simple. We position ourselves in the course of the fight at a distance where the person cannot throw anything but little 1s and 2s, while we can deploy our level 10 submissions and render our opponent unconscious like that. So at distances where I can use my most valuable submissions, he cannot use his most valuable strikes.
Yeah, this is what happens when you use your whole body
as your weapon
against my arm. Mm-hmm. And even though there's the body involved in throwing strikes, especially when we're standing.
Right.
Which, speaking about standing, if we stand up real quick, most martial arts, for example, most striking arts, they put themselves in range to receive 7s, 8s, 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, and 10s when they deliver those. So if I want to throw a right hand at Henner, for example, boom, I'm also in position for him to throw a right hand. So that's so much more risk. Whereas in jiu-jitsu,
which is why so much when you have a boxing coach are saying, cover, keep your hands up, guard. So you'll throw a jab, but they say, keep your hand up. If your life or death is based on this, if this means you're safe and this means you get knocked out, it just shows you what a dangerous engagement you're putting yourself in. And that's the risk, right? It's not that it's good or bad. It's just the reality, which is why speed, strength, athleticism, power are such prerequisites when it comes to using standing, striking techniques as your means of victory, or any of the arts that advocate this type of victory. Not that strikes are bad. It's just that the prerequisite to be effective is much more than the jiu-jitsu prerequisite. When I'm here and I don't have to be fast or quick or powerful, I just have to be close. And that's why people are in love with jiu-jitsu, because there aren't any prerequisites. Anybody, if you can walk in the building, you can do jiu-jitsu, and you can go here where I can sit up and I can do a kimura where Hidon has no range to throw a strike. Or I'm up here sitting up in the guard and look, right here, throw a punch. What's the most powerful? Maybe a 2 from this side over here, or a 3 on my body, not even my head. And then suddenly I change my hips, I lock his neck, and now I have my 10, level 10 guillotine wrapped up on his neck right there. And therein lies the difference. When I can deploy my 10s and he can't deploy but 1s and 2s, it's an unfair advantage for jiu-jitsu.
yes.
And that's it. So our goal is to close the distance, get a hold of someone, take them to where they can't use their 6, 7, 8, 9s, and 10s, and manipulate around them until we find our perfect submission while they're desperately trying to strike with 1s, 2s, and 3s, burning energy every step of the way while we're shooting sniper opportunities for our submissions.
Now, what you're suggesting, what jiu-jitsu offers, violates that which most people agree upon when it comes to what it means to fight somebody.
That's right.
So you see 2 people fighting, for example, the fight goes to the ground, one person knows jiu-jitsu.
Stand them up.
It's not uncommon where someone says, stand up, fight like a man.
Yes.
You know, what are you doing? Stop hugging him. But when you're in a fight for your life, who cares how you fight that person?
What matters is you go home, not to the hospital. Yes. And if you really care, what matters is that neither one of you goes to the hospital. And jiu-jitsu, besides teaching you to fight at almost a cheating, it's so good, it's almost cheating, you guys. Jiu-jitsu is the hack to everyday fights. Because think about that. If my level 10 submissions are being deployed against your level 1 strike from the ground fighting situation, 10 to 1, does that sound like a fair soccer game?
Not at all.
If there's 10 people on one team and 1 on the other team, would that be considered fair?
Yeah.
No. That's the reality. And we're doing 10 to 1.
Of course. All the time. If someone at a gas station attacks you throwing 7, 8 punches, and you just forget all hands, and you just cover and you clinch.
And you mount on them and just lay on them.
That's not fair.
That's not fair.
They want you to exchange and throw 8s and 7s with them, but no, you forget that. You bring them to where they can't throw anything but 1s and 2s, and then you can throw 8s, 9s, and 10s by way of submission.
Yes, and that's the challenge. So many of these striking arts that are primarily practiced as a sport in America and all over the world, the competition of that striking art puts you at the striking range that is perfect for both people to try to land 9s, 10s, and most powerful strikes. And they grab each other, they get separated, whether it's boxing, taekwondo, karate, you can't click, they separate because they want to keep you at that striking range. So the very range that you should be at, they're pushing you away from, so you're building muscle memory, believing that you should never be at that closer range, where really that's the safest place to be. And this, in a nutshell, is why Jiu-Jitsu, A, is the hack of all street self-defense systems, and B, why it's just so effective, and C, why everyone's falling in love with it, because the prerequisites are non-existent to be able to do jiu-jitsu and be effective, because there's no strength, speed, or power. Just position yourself at the right distance.
So to all the people out there that don't understand why jiu-jitsu is just taking over the world when it comes to martial arts and self-defense, this is why.
This is why. And just as there is a jiu-jitsu fighting system to be effective in a street fight, there are systems to teach you how to teach jiu-jitsu as effective as jiu-jitsu itself. Jiu-jitsu for teaching jiu-jitsu, and that's the Gracie University Instructor Certification Program. So if you love this discussion and this idea of jiu-jitsu, we got you covered. Whether you're just entering the art and you're a black belt, if your dream is to teach jiu-jitsu one day, we have the path for you in the Instructor Certification Program.
We have been teaching jiu-jitsu our whole lives, and we've received so much information up to this point, right? Even things that our father and our grandfather, it's been passed down through so many generations of Gracie family members, and we're here to share it.
That's it, you guys. It took us 100 years collectively as a family to figure it out, but we figured it out. We know how to create amazing jiu-jitsu instructors, and we know how to run successful jiu-jitsu schools, and we want to share all the secrets with you. Go to GracieInstructor.com and learn about reserving your territory, since we only certify one school per territory, and establishing a certified Gracie Jiu-Jitsu training center. There are no shortage of eager students wanting to learn this incredible martial art, only a shortage of certified instructors. We'll see you on the mat.